Hey, welcome back to the Secret Underground Lair. Working with our Worktable Sawmill, I have found a couple issues with the treadmill motor that I believe I have addressed for now, so I don't have to fiddle with any electronics. There is an overload circuit that was causing the sawmill to cut out, but I have found a cure for that. Well, I've done two things. First, I put on a smaller pulley onto the treadmill motor, so that actually gives me double the torque of what I had on there before. So increased torque is one thing. That means the blades moves a little bit slower, but I can speed up the motor to accommodate, and that seems to have worked pretty well. The other thing is that I'm moving the saw just a little slower and backing off just a little bit every so often, and maybe pressure for about 15 seconds and back off a little bit just to clear the sawdust out of the log, then move ahead. And that enabled me to go through the entire log without any interruptions whatsoever. And I cut off this little slab. This is almost like a little over 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch thick all the way through. Very pleased with the consistency of that. So I think I've got something. There's a little bit of blade drift here and there, but cut to cut, I seem to be doing very well. So I've now flipped the log over, and I'm just going to start milling away at this thing, having some fun. So I'll let you ride along, and you can see me cut through this log. I'll put it on time lapse, so it is a slow process. This isn't the fastest machine in the world, but hey, this is working really well. Okay, enjoy the watch. Hey, starting to look like a sawyer. The thing I should point out, this log is actually pretty wet, which may be one of the contributing factors to the sawmill having a little difficulty with it. But it's good for a practice log. All right, I'm gonna give it another flip. The other side is really, I think, where there's potentially, okay, now I'm talking like a sawyer. The other side is where there is potentially better wood. So I'm gonna flip this again, and then we'll start slicing off slabs from the other side. All right, already learning lessons about how to be a better sawyer. First, I gotta have better clamps. These are not exactly 90 degrees, and as a result, and plus I have screws that are holding the thing together on the bottom. So that's why this little 1/4-inch piece of plywood is in here, just to offset these screws. Yeah, so better clamps. Also have to figure out what I'm gonna do when I get down to here, to this level. I can probably come down at least that far. So yeah, clamps. Have to figure that part out. But I'm still having fun. All right, I'm gonna go down to do a 5/4 cut here on this piece. And then I'll probably stop because that's getting pretty close to the limit until I figure out the clamping. But holy cow, I'm impressed. This is really working. All right, more lessons learned. Okay, we'll carry on though. What I've observed is that the top plank here that I'm cutting actually twisted a little bit, which I think is what caused the extra load on the motor, pinching the blade a bit. So I've stuck a wedge in this end. Let's carry on. All right. And there we have a 5/4 board. A little bit of fiddling with the saw, with the mill here. Again, wet wood, pushing a little hard. I think it'd probably be a good idea to sharpen the blade. That has been around for a little while. So I'll take those steps, but overall I'm very pleased, and thank you very much for watching as I mill up a log on a sawmill made from pallets. Can you believe it? So here's some of the results of the Worktable Sawmill made out of pallets. These are the first kind of 5/4 boards that I've got, and I'm quite happy with those. Here's a whole bunch of offcuts and remnants of some of the first cuts that I made. So several passes through this Black Mulberry log that I've got. And you can see I've got it here on the saw, clamped down a little differently now, learning techniques about how to clamp. But I did run into a problem with the saw blade. Yep, it broke. A couple interesting things I've learned about the saw blade. One, it's very important to have it sharp. So just to kind of give you a little illustration, before I was cutting and I was getting a lot of my initial cuts, I'm getting very fine powder like sawdust that you see here. Then I decided I better sharpen the blade, and once I sharpened the blade, you can see the difference here. Suddenly I'm getting fibers coming out of the saw. So just dust to fiber. That sharpened saw blade makes such an incredible difference in what I'm able to cut. It also sped up the cutting significantly, no surprise there. But the saw blade itself was old. It had actually been bent in previous use, so it was kind of a scrap saw blade to begin with. Not terribly surprised that it broke. So I'll get a new blade, put it on the sawmill, but I'm very happy with the results. Incredible what you can do with pallets.